This is about Amelia Love Clearheart. I don't know where to start. Normally I would have said, I think I'll start at my heart and turn it into a rhyme. But not this time. The sublime, divine. The sublime, divine. I hold the torch for the sublime divine. Welcome to the Church of the Sublime Divine. My name is Amelia Claire Black Bullock. Throughout my life, I've gone by Amelia Claire Black Bullock Bolliard, and just Amelia Claire Bolliard. I've had many pseudonyms, many alter egos. Many of them. I've described as my ascended name, Amelia Love Clearheart, a name that came with timing's flow. And there was reticence, and there was hesitance, and embarrassment, And there was love. And I always lean into love. If I'm given the opportunity, I'm leaning into love. I think I'm supposed to get up here and say, so this is what you've been needing to know, and this is what I was supposed to say, and here's my bio, and here's my headshot, here's my qualifications. I've been living with these feelings for as long as I can remember. I remember being 5 and watching my grandfather, who was a Baptist minister, on my dad's side, my black side, watching my grandfather, who was a Baptist minister, preach and listening. And he was teaching fear. And it hurt me. I was so hurt. There was that sense that I should trust him because he was someone I loved, although I didn't ever experience feeling loved by him. Which I'm not saying with any kind of despair or judgment or disappointment. He was keeping something that was keeping him, And I understand that. I've done it myself. anyway, I remember just being that age and knowing that what he was called was something like minister or preacher. And I think I was reflecting on my previous Sunday with him. I could have been 6 years old, 5 or 6. It was when I started to have visits with my dad, monitored visits with my father. My grandparents would be the witnesses, and well, we could be alone together, I think. I don't remember. I didn't, they don't tell you everything. You just remember weird parts and then make strange puzzles and create very complicated and contorted pictures of the world. But anyway, it was when I was having visitations with my dad, and he would pick me up in Bothell, Washington, and drive me down to Tacoma, or my mom would maybe take me down, and we would visit with my grandma, who lived in Hilltop, Tacoma. And I don't remember where the church was. I think she lived there. I mean, I was young. Memories are... And I was reflecting on that visit, how much I loved my grandmother Edith, and how much she loved me, and I knew that every moment I breathed. I knew my grandma Edith loved me. Anyway, I was reflecting on my experience as a 6 or 5-year-old, and I remember thinking, well, if he's a minister, then I have to be a minister, because I could see the impact, the power that he had over these people. Not with, not for, not through, but over these people. He had power over these people. And he was an angry man, and he preached fear and rejection and anger and hate. And he preached about some other stuff too, but you only remember the good stuff. So I remember sitting and thinking, I'm going to have to be a minister so that I can go to those same kinds of people and say, that shit was wrong. That wasn't right. That's not it. That's not the truth. I know, because I was a child and I could feel the truth, and it didn't match what this old man was saying about God. It didn't match. I was a child. I knew the truth. I knew it wasn't true that all my uncles were going to go to hell and burn, for eternity in hell for their sexual preferences. I knew it wasn't true that God just wanted to be angry at us. But what it led to was me having a disbelief in God and a very robust fear of the devil. And I lived like that into about my mid-20s. No belief in God, but a belief in the devil. What changed that was my experience of persons that some call spiritual. I would call them feeling and connected and awake people. And it wasn't anything, maybe there were elements of New Age or being a hippie or whatever stereotype, but there were also just people who really did feel things, and I was able to see that those feelings were real, and that other people had them, and those feelings that I had had all my life existed other places, and people even discussed them and understood them and accepted them and utilized them to good means. And so began the journey, My grandmother gave me the book Friendship with God before she gave me the trilogy Conversations with God. And that was very opening of my understanding. I remember reading it and not getting it all, but what did come through was spoken or written in a manner that was more clear and simple and rich than any combining of words I had heard before that. And I'm a poet. I was going to be a poet. I was a poet. I'm a poet. And I'm not. I'm whatever. was so moved by the fact that words could go through in that way. They could come through in that way and could be received then in the way that I was receiving them. And I followed poets through my interest in music, and mostly music. I got really into the poetry we experience in music, and wrote lots of songs myself from the time I was a teenager until this right now. Like, that's the only thing that never stopped, I think. And dancing. But I didn't let myself sing. No. You have to be blacker than me to sing. That's what I learned. But I like to sing. But you're not singing it right. You're not doing it right. It doesn't sound right. Don't sing. Nobody said that to me like that. Well, maybe once or something, but nobody said it to me like that. The way it was said was much more insidious and like burning. It was just, when people know how to talk backwards, like the devil speak. They're saying something, but they're cutting you up while they're saying it. That was it. The family my father married to us as our little family that we were. And I love those people now. We love each other. I love them. Well, I love them. I don't trust them. Some of them. I trust some of them. I don't trust the others of them. But I love them. But I don't like that. It's not even the person, it's the behavior, right? It's not the person, it's the behavior, because it's not them. It's whatever, just like me, like whatever hormones happen to be going off, whatever mood happens to be upon you, whatever fear happens to be roused. And there's a set of behaviors usually that go with that. I'm going on now. And you know. But so I'm here today. To say welcome to the Sublime Divine Church. That don't care to get It wasn't easy for me to come here. There were questions about what should you wear, what shouldn't you wear, how special should you act like you think you are. That one comes with me everywhere I go. And I'm not acting, but the invert, what ends up happening is I just end up thinking I shouldn't think I'm special, and then that leads to I feel particularly unspecial, which is fine. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying there can be like, well, let's put it this way. The other night I had a dream that I had a bald head, and along it were many different, pretty long in each case, wounds, cuts, severs, wounds. And some of them were quite healed, and some of them should have been quite healed, but were actually disturbed and being fucked with. So they couldn't quite heal. I dreamed that about my brain, about my head the other night. Your head has wounds that are healed and not healed. Yeah, it's good news. It's good to know. And I question my sanity, which most of us do. But I always think I do have that experience of nobody else knows what this is like. Like, I think because of the level of like weakness and absolute dejection I feel while I'm going through it, the fact that anybody else keeps going makes me kind of feel like, well, then they must not be going through this, because this feels like something, if you're going through it, you can't keep going. But I keep going while I'm going through it. So, like, what? So I guess that's really good to remember, that when you look at people, it's really impossible to make the assumption that because they're upright and you're looking at them and they don't look like how you feel, they don't look like they feel how you feel. But you know, when they look at you, 9 times out of 10, neither do you. So we walk around treating each other with like the least amount of probing. You know, it's like, I don't want to know. I don't want to actually respond to what's real with you. I'm going to look and see something superficial, and that'll be the level of my responsibility. Like, oh, you look fine. Hey, how are you? Fine. Oh, that's what I thought. Bye. And then both of you go off away from each other and have weird thoughts about yourself. And what did that person just think of me? And figure they judged you or whatever we think. Yeah. I don't know what I think I'm doing right now. I'm just trying desperately to allow my voice to change, you know? I felt the Amelia Love clear heart peel off of me a bit for the first time since it came, which was many, many years ago. And as it peeled off, like a sticker, but like a body sticker, like skin almost, you know? As I felt it peel off, that space in between the air, and it was like the most pure space, actually, just to say it. It was the most pure space. It's like the most open, untouched. And then I see, right now, live before your eyes, then I see that that is a protection. And a good one, you know. A protection by the grace of grace. Here's a name, we'll call it an ascended name. It'll tell everybody in the world what you're working on, first of all. And every time someone says it to you, they will infuse it with manifestive energy, because they'll be saying it. That's why I always love it when people call me clear heart. They'll be like, clear heart. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm working on. We teach what we need to learn. Any teacher who doesn't appear to also experience themselves as a balanced learner may not, well, I won't finish that sentence. I'll let that, you just let me know how it works out. Okay. Well, what would happen, what will help is if I stop thinking about the fact that I'm being watched. Let me see if I can do that. That's part of this. This is part of it. It's hard for me sometimes. Most of the time. If I do it now, it'll be the first time. I'm doing this is an experiment. I'm doing this. I'm trying to do things I've never been able to do before, live, in front of other people. Okay? That's the show. Oh, we gotta change. Okay, I asked for a different song. this one here. So that happened. I don't really know. I'm trying not to stop. I'm super uncomfortable right now. Like even looking at myself, because all I see is everything. I reckon, like I don't even want to wear the clothes I have anymore, ever. I go to my closet. I see the outfit in my head that makes sense with how I feel, and I open my clothes, and it's not in there at all. This is a beautiful skirt that my friend gave me. Oh, that's why I chose it, because it's untainted. But yeah, things are being experienced as of the previous, and the hurt, and the blameful, and the broken. And I was. And, I think the grace of my experience is that I needed to be of a certain maturity and age in that case in order to accept what I really had done and been in my life that was crazy. And if you can, I'm very placed in the perspective and observation of the constancy And someone's bringing something over to my neighbor friend as a surprise. It's very cute. My neighbor kid friend is about to get a surprise. I was like, why is that guy sneaking up to my house? He's bringing him a toy. Anyway, balance. And so as many people come up to me and say, not my whole name always, or not my name at all, but almost always they remember my name. And they might call me Amelia Love Clearheart, or Clearheart, or Amelia, or Mimi if it's in the breakdance community. And they say they have good feelings about me, and they have had some experience through receiving my messages or words, or my dancing, or my presence somewhere is what the feedback is. This something was impactful for them when we shared a space and they experienced my presence there. So the thing about knowing that you've been crazy is you question everything. Questioning everything, like people looking at you, oh, you seem so confident, you seem to have all your shit together, you look good, you got moves, you got steps, you got jokes, you're charismatic, you got narcissism to thank for that. Narcissism is a strong quality in those for people on the mental illness spectrum, specifically those impacted by early childhood traumas, and especially repeated or constant early childhood traumas. It gives it a certain spice and a little kink. Like, actually, that usually comes through literally kink. I certainly have it. And it's not pretty like you think. It's the stuff that people don't want to talk about for a lot of people. And we keep it hidden, and you tell us to be healthy, but you really don't want to know the darkest secret we harbor. And I'm tired of not talking about it. It makes people sicker. That we can talk about everything but the most taboo things. Then exactly how are we going to process through the most taboo? If it's the one thing we can't say, we can't be honest or true about it. One of the greatest things that ever happened is I able to, in another person, identify the potential to do one of the most disdained crimes any human can do to a child. And because I understand addiction and mental illness from my own experience, I was able to say, instead of like, hey, you fucking asshole, judgy, judge, trigger you, now you want to act out with something, you're at least gonna go get high or drunk. If not, like, hook up with somebody, not a good idea. That shit just, it carries on, or it momentizes. Instead, I got to say, if you ever have that feeling, call me. Because you will hurt your life, and you will hurt people, and you will lose everything. So call me. Before anything like that ever happens, call me, and we'll figure out what to do. And we'll do it in a way where you can stay safe, and so can everybody else. And that's what needs to be happening with the issues of child abuse, sexual child abuse in the United States of America. We have to learn to have a different conversation about it. It is time to not hush and controversy and shaming, but to really understand the sickness that leads up to it, which I understand inherently. I have lived in it, around it, on it, over it. It has been my life. Fortunately, I have never sexually abused a child or abused a child any other way unless I hurt them because I was being some kind of dicky, grouchy, manipulative addict for a moment and I was like insisting on having control. But I always had this accountability in me because I understood the impact of child abuse, having had it myself. Sexual child abuse, you know? And from a lot of different sources. And then, you know, you draw with the colors that you have. I had my colored pencils, lots of broken tips, you know, and I'm like, I'm gonna make a life picture out of this. And I made a life picture. And it was colored with child abuse, sexual child abuse pens and pencils. And then people saw me and, you know, that looks like art. It's very original looking stuff, you know. That's why they say that narcissists or people with narcissistic tendencies like myself are so charismatic. It's like we have this weird palette with which we work and it feels fresh to people, you know. It's exciting and it looks great and we pride ourselves on it because the only things we were ever truly meant to be great at, we have already experienced a complete failure. We have a complete failure in understanding healthy intimacy and healthy sexuality and confidence and trust. We have a failure in all of the places that are supposedly delivering of peace and serenity and love and well-being and a feeling of peace is the word. Peace is the word. We don't know peace. We don't get peace, right? So, oh God, where was I going with that? With that narcissism, with all of, so when we get good responses, it's like, that's all we have. That's all we have. Oh yeah, you think I'm fine? You know what, can I just say real quick, the biggest mistake I made with a man who like if we both were totally sick in our heads, we would be so great. But I said, and I heard it and I was like, oh well, let's see how this will be. I guess this is on its way to over, you know, and it absolutely did that very quickly. But I said, oh, you're just so fucking sexy. It's like, how can you trust somebody whose brain has been completely hijacked? I'm a sex and love addict, avoidant. You know? And I'm like, oh, that's like basically being like, oh, we should like do heroin together sometime. It's like, that's dangerous. That's dangerous, Amelia. That's dangerous, dude. And to hold him accountable in case he ever should see this, he told me at the very beginning of our date, he said, I like to go slow. I like to go slow, take my time. That man tried to kiss me as soon as we left the bar where we had that conversation. And it surprised me and I ducked out because I like did it weird and I like did that weird like hug up with my like top of my head on his armpit. Like it was a totally awkward moment. And then he said, I wanted to kiss you just now. And can you imagine that I was surprised in more than several ways? He had just made a declaration at the bar that wasn't gonna happen. And it was overwhelming. You know, I was like, oh, well, I think you're beautiful and I feel all this connection between us. I'm like, yeah, I want to kiss. And we had this kiss. And then I like fell up against a wall afterward because it knocked my fucking brain off of my socks. It knocked my brain off of my socks. And I said, I have to stop. And I leaned up against this wall and I was like, that kiss just hit me. That kiss just hit me. That's a good song. It hasn't been written yet, but it will. No, we're not gonna. My brain tried to take a left. Come on, baby, stick with us, we're flowing here. And then he, you know, blew up my world with his beauty words for like a couple weeks. And the story ends with him telling me that I didn't care about other people and and never talking to me again, and that something had happened when I seemed like I wanted something different than what he wanted. Yeah, the difference in what we wanted was I wanted to go with your original plan where you do the thing that works for you and we don't kiss right away. But instead we did the other thing, which was when you just do what you want because you want it. And me too. And here we are. Hi. I hope you're doing well. I said a prayer for you. I never pray like, oh, fix that man. I'm just like, bless him. Well, I do say help him, but that's because I say that for anybody. I said help him, bless him, help him. I say that. That's the only thing I'll say. And of course, we all know you can only receive help if you want it, so it's not like it's forced. I'm not trying to force anybody. Nobody likes to be forced to do shit, and that's what I'm guilty of. I'm guilty of pushing because I want what I want when I want it. Addiction is a thing. And I wasn't old enough or grown enough or mature enough to look at it and say, wow, I was that insane those times, those moments, those years. Because you're fighting to be sane. Because you know you're crazy. So you're fighting to be sane. And so, like, it's every justification just to have a place in the world. It's like, no, I did that. I said this because it's you. It's your fault. No, you don't understand me. Whatever. It's somebody else not getting you, because if they get you, then it's true that you're behaving in a fucking crazy way. Which I did day after day after day. And even now, now I hope this like gives some perspective to why I come across or am the way I am, because this is I am a person who had to cultivate powerful aspects of personhood in order to stand being out in public as a completely internally devastated soul, which so many of us feel. And then if people think you look nice or they like your clothes, they get real attached to that. People get real attached. We want to be comfortable. We want other people to be strong and well. Then we don't have to worry about their shit. They're gonna hurt us or fuck with our stuff or take our stuff or, disrupt our dream. To erase that shit. When that happens, I just have to keep going. That is life. There was a lot of stuff I don't want to say allowed to reveal over the last years, because it wasn't like I don't know. I can't speak. I don't know what it would have been like if I had, but because I didn't. But one of the things if I have like I like to call it my Blues Brothers style mission, where they're like, I'm on a mission from God, right? And one of the things I was shown to always do is to not, is to be imperfect to the level that some have judged and made fun of and called undesirable. So, like undesirable imperfection, to allow that to happen in front of people as often as possible. Huh? Are you sure this wasn't meant for somebody else's mission? This is my mission? Mm-hmm. Check the spelling, please. CLEAR. My God. Oh my God. I have to like knowingly go into positions where I may experience humiliation myself, which I've avoided, because when you come from a childhood trauma history, humiliation is the cancer that comes with it. The shame and humiliation, they are the cancer that make cancer. The guilt and shame, the cancers that make more cancer, is the reason to let it go. It's like I want to be a tumor one day. And you got to be like, I could see how that, you could want that. You have all the stuff it takes to become a tumor. However, I'm going to now live my life in a way that acknowledges that there is matter, energy, experience in me that wishes to become stubborn illness. And I'm going to find a way to process and smooth and move that and make it into something that flows as opposed to grows. I just got lucky on that one. Yeah, so humiliation is almost unbearable. And so from that, for me, or was, a lot of the stuff I'm saying is very recently or not so recently past tense, but it's all a result of recovery. And I've been in recovery for 14 years. 14 years of Al-Anon this year. I feel like I hear people clapping. Thank you. See, that like ability to respond, that's why artists are often narcissistic, because they're actually like, I have characteristics that are really developed in me, and I know how to, they just naturally occur. It's like typing on a typewriter, right? But it's still composed. Oh sheesh, it's not, sidetracks are not always the best way for me to get to my point. That's funny. And it's funny because you all remember what I was, maybe because it was recently for you, but for me it feels like it was some time ago. Oh, embarrassment and humiliation. That's when I know I'm flowing, because it usually takes me a lot longer to remember what I was trying to say. Yeah, so it's just, humiliation is sort of like, for me, had been just like it's a punch in the gut, and it is for a lot of people. But you have to remember that we think we're the only one, because appear to be standing and going, and we think we're the only ones who feel like we're just about to fall down all the time. But the reason I'm revealing all of this is is the grand moment of, oh my God, this is how the same we are, and seeing the sickness for what it is. One of the things that happened is when I've studied narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder. I've researched narcissism and everything on the mental illness spectrum that descends from CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress. Response is a better word. It's a response to stress, but they call it a disorder, right? But complex comes from people who actually don't just have like a singular experience, like a car crash with a fatal incident, or maybe an isolated sexual experience. It's multiple things that overlap each other, and there's no way to pick one apart from the other. They all get enmeshed, and they become this like gargantuan globular mass of trauma, and it creates you need a different kind of personality to live with that going on with you, and that's what you get on the mental illness spectrum, all the charismatic narcissists. So I've been studying it for a while, and I was like, am I a narcissist? Am I a codependent? Well, I'm both of those things. They're all in each, because it all comes from the same injury to the soul, spirit, spiritual, body. But then they got into the histrionics and the borderline personality disorder and the bipolar, and I really was listening to that borderline personality disorder definition, and I was like, um, hmm. So then my mom says, so I'm doing the research and I talk about it with my mom sometimes, and I'm like, you should do the research, but she never says she's going to, and I don't know if she did, but she does come to me one day after several years in the right moment because we've been working on it, right? Because the recovery allows you to work on relationships with the people who you have strained relationships with in your life, the ones